France, starting in 1920. This is episode 22. It's 1933. We are 13 months into the war with America. It's proved a bit of a damp squid of a war. I've tried to seek the Americans out. They've decided to go and concentrate all their forces in the Caribbean against our tiny island colony of Antilles, which is held out heroically. Let's see what comes next. So our own forces are only 20 aeroplanes, so I'm going to decline this because they've got 23 battleships here, which is good because I sent my reformed Forster raid across the North Atlantic to the East Coast, so I should blockade him again this month. Nice little research breakthrough. New torpedo bombers for the Americans. The submarine war is very inconsequential. And there we go into November. As you can see, I'm running out of money. Obviously, the maintenance is super high, plus sending them overseas makes it higher. I've only got the Democracy building, but it's a big ship. 6 months away. I am thinking I might have to get rid of a couple of these Suffren classes. They are due for scrapping in 1935 and 1936 with the launch of the Joffre aircraft carrier and with the second Liberté. But they haven't been able to do anything. They're stuck in European waters. The Americans haven't come, so there've been no battles. I've got a few more months to decide, but if push comes to shove, then I'll scrap them, because there's no point mothballing them. If you mothball them in the war, you might as well just scrap them. So let's just see if the Americans do rock up. We look at the globe, you'll see we are 80, the Germans are 88. We are 15. I don't know where our ships have gone to yet. Let's just close that. Yeah, North American East Coast. Well, that's strange. Doesn't seem to have updated. Whilst the American fleet is still in the Caribbean, trying to do an invasion. And next turn, you see, it keeps on doing battles where the Americans are, not where I am. Again, I'm going to decline that. A coastal raid. Okay, I'm there. What's the betting? I get a bunch of destroyers again. 5 destroyers can't make it. Yes. Let's attack some Germans. There we go. Well, there's a battleship. Hooray! There's more than one. Extraordinary. There's 2. Let's have a look at the order of battle. So, a Doucet class mini battlecruiser, Liberté, still just fresh in commission, big beast of a ship, a couple of cruisers, only 1 or 2 destroyers, a couple of carriers. So we're very light on, and a German battlecruiser and a couple of destroyers. So we're light on destroyers, and we have a couple of good fleet carriers. So I'll do the thing that I always forget to do, which is sort out the air search. So I've gone for this pattern of what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, I'm leaving myself slightly exposed to the north, but I am traveling west to this objective here, so hopefully that all should be relatively straightforward. Medium cap, heavy cap. Heavy. I'm always cautious with carriers. Okay, that's fine. The time is dusk will be in 45 minutes. Right. So let's go back to here and say no search, because obviously that's not really going to happen. Yeah, there's evening coming in. Great to have carriers. Shame they're of no use whatsoever. Okay. We do actually have control over where we're going, and we're going over here. So let's see if we can see anything. Right, so as you can see, we're right at the limit of our range. Still, and do we have an objective for this? I didn't notice. I think 2 ships. Okie dokie. Okay, so much fiddling and faddling. I would love to basically send these off somewhere safe, but unfortunately I can't. Here's the Germans. I'm just going to bring this cruise down to 14. Maybe that saves a little bit of fuel. Here we go, off Charleston, waiting to bump into anything. It's as unsophisticated as that. Boom! Okay, what do we have? So I've taken over manual control over everything. We have the Von der Tann, our lovely Germans over here. I've raised the black flag. I'm not sure what that really does anymore for this period. Destroyers seem to be want to loose off their torpedoes at the drop of a hat. And, you know, for the lack of ambiguity, torpedo, if you know what it is, torpedo it. And let's see if we get a bit lucky. Okay, so it's a destroyer. Let's not get too excited just yet. So we will leave the 2 light cruisers to deal with that. Okay, they're moving up that way, so I will join them. I'm going to go up to 20 just for now and see if I manage that. The destroyer taking some hits, so I'm just going to pull off with the destroyer. The Von der Tann, yeah, won't let me do anything. I'm going to reattach it to the battlecruiser force rather than the carrier force. That would be more handy. So just 2 destroyers at the moment. Oh, got control of them. Wonderful. So no, don't go completely the opposite direction. Just spin around. See? So it'd be nice if the light cruisers would do something. See, we've just lost sight of the American. So this now is a corvette. Crank this up a bit. I'll see if putting the Von der Tann into AI means that it sails sensibly. So that's the Margaret L. Roberts. Gone for Burton. Sorry about that, Margaret. Ah! Blimey! Well, I didn't expect that. It's not said that we've reached our objective. Send the destroyer this way. Can we put them? No. Take that up to 20. Ah, there it is again. Now I'm going to cut in behind because I do not want to get broadside. Well, perhaps I'm not going to cut in behind with this one. I would love for these guys to come under my control and send them up and see if we can sort them out. I mean, guys, do feel free to identify what this ship is so that we can shoot at it. That would be fun. Ah. Okay, so it says it's a destroyer, could be a corvette. Let's go in behind. Oh, it's turning. Destroyers. Bring our light cruisers open. That's it. Come on, light cruisers. Do your light cruisery thing. Okay, it really is a destroyer this time. They're pasting it. Nope. Let's see if we can send that down for some extra victory points if we pick up survivors. So bring down the speed of this lot and that lot, and obviously this bunch and them, and probably these two and that. So you'd think that's going to be our objective achieved, where the Etat is going. Be quite happy. Let's put it to support. Oh, hang on. Right, so that's got rid of that. And we've spotted some merchant ships. Well, spotted and sunk. So maybe there's a convoy around. Or maybe I should just leave. Job. Small job. Done. Let's, yeah. Let's just do that. Cruise. Back to France, or wherever we are hiding. Back to our rendezvous with our fleet support. Well, where did that come from? Who was that? Crikey. I literally didn't see that coming. I thought we were all over. How are we doing? Flooding 25. So, I mean, it's got torpedo protection, certainly 3, possibly 4. So I'm trusting that it's not going to be too bad. But let's take the speed down to 10. 9 even. Just to check. Now this light cruiser might be not long for this world. My light cruisers under my control? Yes, briefly. So let's just send them around to give a coup de grace. Oh. There was a light cruiser, there's now a destroyer. Oh well. That's enough. Now, if the Liberté goes into repair for its torpedo hit, it also will be caught in this weird buggy limbo where it's in the American East Coast station, but it can't be repaired because we have no bases. So it's almost effectively interned, which is strange. Let's just go catch up with it, make sure that it's got the flooding under control. Still a bit. Let's bring that down and play that out. So, not the glorious battle I'd hoped for, but sufficient. But if that torpedo hit has taken the Liberté out, then the whole forced raid concept is sort of nullified, because my 2 best battleships will have both been put out of action for the rest of the war. I could mount a forced raid for the other ones, my normal battle line, but the whole point of the forced raid is that it's a 28 knot force, and so if it meets a superior force, it will always be able to retreat. Putting the battle line that is only 20 knots means I would definitely risk being overwhelmed. So the scenario is over. Another torpedo. 2 destroyers, a couple of auxiliaries. So it's a victory, but yeah, light damage. Let's see the ship details for the Liberté. Just one torpedo hit from the Stuart. Well, well done, Stuart. Your loss was not completely in vain. Let's come out of that. And a minor victory for my troubles, although it wants to name it, which seems a bit generous. Army wants resources. No, we should not waste resources on the army, who frankly were dreadful. No to that. Oh, and we've torpedoed and damaged an American battleship, mind you. They've got like 23 of them. And another of our corvettes hits the dust. Nothing much there. Yes to blockade. This has been an unfortunate series of events. A really cogent and coherent French force of battlecruisers and carriers off the American coast, poised to sink a comparable American force, negated by nighttime being only minutes away. That stops my carrier air being a thing. It also makes it difficult for my high-speed force to disengage in case they get into any kind of trouble, and reduces the whole thing to a typical nighttime knife fight. I'm cautious, do the objective, I sail away, and despite that, out of the blue, with no warning whatsoever, American cruiser comes along and torpedoes a battleship. And not just any one, my best one. I have 5 high-speed 28 knots battleships, battlecruisers. 3 of them are old, 2 of them are new. Both of the new ones have now received damage, and they've received damage off the coast of North America, where I have no bases, and so they will just be held in limbo to the end of the war. They are functionally sunk, although mercifully not actually sunk. So it's kind of trashed my entire strategy. Here's the overall situation. The light green here are the American forces, and as you can see, they are massively concentrated in the Caribbean as they continue to try and take the Antilles. I mean, fair play to the Antilles. Its survival has been heroic, but it has deflected the Americans. They have finally put a small force back into the East Coast to respond to the forces in grey, which is the Americans, and in dark green, which is myself, the French. This is my force to raid. This is my Atlantic fleet back in Northern Europe, and here was a token force in the Mediterranean. This was posited really in the idea that I would go over to the East Coast and that the Americans would have to pull back a significant force. That sort of worked, but that previous battle just completely trashed that strategy. It's a nicely balanced force. 2 carriers, 2 light carriers, 3 fast battleships / battlecruisers, -1. There was a 4th one, but that had been already damaged. Now it's -2. +1 because there's another Buchan battleship 5 months away. A couple of cruisers, destroyers, and all the rest, all with a speed of 28 knots. The rest of my Atlantic fleet is primarily a 23, 20 knot kind of. If we go into the detail, I just assumed or hoped or expected, cert is appropriate, that the American Atlantic fleet would do something. My option, given that it hasn't really gone back to the East Coast to raise the blockade, and it hasn't come across to challenge France in Northern Europe, is, was I going to put the force to raid into the Caribbean and challenge the Americans in their maximum strength? And had I not lost second battleship, fast battleship, to eternity of repair limbo, then yeah, I probably would have done that. But now I only have 3 old battlecruisers, and the carriers, and I would need a good daylight battle where I could bring the carriers to bear properly. But remember, this isn't, 1943, 44. This is 1933. The carrier planes only have a range of just over 100 miles or so, which is, 5 hours of steaming at 20 knots. Check that. Yeah. So it's the carriers are constantly in peril unless they're properly shielded by the battle cruisers and heavy cruisers and the rest from a surface action, which of course wouldn't go well for the carriers. So I feel that strategy has been stymied a bit. So thinking about how to take this forward into the next year, I'm kind of hoping that the war just ends, because these damages requiring repair to my best ships have really unbalanced my force. My fear is that the Americans will finally take the Antilles and won't give them back and declare a victory. So yes, but let's see what happens next for the year, because it's finally run its course. We've been at war for 15 months, so this has been a full year of huge expenses, budget bumbling across the bottom, trying to build decent stuff, and so our funds have gone down mainly. It's been a pretty good war, a pretty good year for tech. Often in war, I find the techs slightly fall back slightly. Obviously, the tensions haven't really changed very much. As you can see over here, war with America, fine with everyone else except the Italians, but they haven't moved significantly. In fact, relations with Britain have slightly improved. Our stalwart ally in Germany has continued to provide pretty good support, actually. And we've had this one new battleship that's got damaged, one that's in build, one carrier done. So yeah, it feels like after 15 months this war is dragging on, and my aim for 1934 will be to end it in as good as grace as is possible. So that's this turn. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you next year. Game year.